In today's lesson, we're going to learn about dynamics, also known as volume. These are represented by various symbols throughout our music to tell us how loud or soft to play. They have a special meaning behind each of the Italian words and their shorthand versions you see here. So let's do a little story first. Let's talk about the harpsichord. The harpsichord is a very old instrument. I know what you're thinking. It looks like a piano, as you can see from these many pictures. It's very similar to a piano. It also, like an organ, can have more than one manual, perhaps to do different octaves, higher notes and lower notes. The harpsichord works on this principle. Here you have a string, represented by the yellow dot, and here's the mechanism that's involved in making the sound. This is the damper pad. So when you push the key down, that forces this mechanism up, which plucks the string on the way up. It's a plucking motion. And then on the way down, as you can see the string vibrating, on the way down there's a mechanism to keep it from plucking it twice. So the harpsichord, if you'll remember, plucks the string. Now the problem with plucking the string is no matter how hard or soft you pushed down on one of these keys, you're going to get the same pluck sound. So the harpsichord is a wonderful instrument with a very unique sound, but unfortunately it only has one volume, and that volume is not going to change no matter how differently you play. So there was a problem faced by a lot of early piano players, what we know of now as piano. So along came a designer, and you can look this up too. His name was Bartolomeo Cristofori, and this was 300 years ago. He invented or modified a harpsichord to use a different mechanism. Why? So that you could play loud and soft, which in Italian are the words forte and piano. So it's only natural that they would call the instrument the pianoforte or the forte piano. And here's how the mechanism is different on a piano. We've shortened it now to call it just a piano. Obviously a lot more complicated. Here's the key, but this is based on a hammer. So now, depending on the speed at which you push down the key, this hammer will hit the string either faster or slower, louder or softer. So with this small little tweak to the harpsichord pluck to a hammer, now we have an instrument capable of playing loud and soft. And that was a huge invention at the time. But I always remember these words, pianoforte or forte piano, to describe this instrument because that name is what it does. You see, in Italian, the word piano means soft. And in music, we see that as a lowercase p. Now, this is kind of just like when you go get a drink at a fast food place. There's usually three sizes: small, medium, and large. And, you know, sometimes there's the extra large and the extra small, the kiddie size. So in Italian, the word for medium is mezzo. So if you'll remember, that's medium. But we don't see it as just mezzo, which would be just an M. You're not going to see an M in the music. No, you're actually going to see two different types of mezzo. Mezzo on the piano side, which, as you guessed, would mean medium soft, or lowercase MP, or mezzo forte. And forte means loud. So mezzo forte is medium loud. And that is the one abbreviated MF. And finally, we've just talked about it, forte. It's not 40. It's pronounced forte. And that is loud. Those are the four basic volumes that you will see throughout music. And as I said before, you're going to see them abbreviated thusly. So this first half note is piano, soft. Then it gets progressively louder. Mezzo piano, medium soft. I like to think of it as medium on the softer side. Then mezzo forte, medium on the louder side. And finally, forte. One way to think about dynamics is think about the size of a room. Piano would be maybe the size of a rather large closet. You know, just a 5 by 5, 10 by 10, in that area, small space. But if you were in there playing, you wouldn't want to play with too big a sound if there was someone else in there, because it'd probably hurt their ears. So think of the size of the room. So forte, that would be like playing in a band hall, somewhere where you have a large space with thousands of square feet and tall ceilings, and your sound needs to fill the room. Now, inside of this hall, you can still have certain inflections, like the word inflection has 3 syllables and 1 syllable is stronger than the others. It's not inflection or inflection, it's inflection. So you can still play around with inflection and emphasis on certain notes, even if you're at a certain dynamic level. So don't think of dynamics as a line, think of them as a space, as in a hall, or a closet, or a room. And yes, there's even more dynamics, just like we talked about extra large drinks. Well, there are extra soft and extra loud dynamics. As you add more pianos to one another, this volume is known as pianissimo. Pianissimo. And then as you add more, pianissanissimo. Very, very soft. Likewise, forte, you can have fortissimo, which is very loud. And then you just keep adding Fs like there's no tomorrow. Now, it's kind of silly to think about this when you've got a fortissimo volume. Why not just, make everything one notch softer and end at fortissimo? But modern composers use this one frequently to be more expressive in their range of dynamics. You might see everything from pianissanissimo to fortissimo in one song, in older songs, in more songs for older, more mature players, perhaps, professional level players. But for right now, these 4 will pretty much cover everything you're going to see. And remember that your volume, if your volume is mezzo forte, well, that's mezzo forte compared to everyone else in the room. So if everyone has mezzo forte, but all we can hear is you, well, you're not really playing mezzo forte then, are you? So a lot of this is determined by the director, or if you're playing a solo by yourself, by you, because your piano will be one volume and your forte needs to be noticeably different. So dynamics are about creating contrast in our volume as players. Mechanically, how do we do this? Well, it depends on the instrument. If you're a wind instrument, in general, the louder you play, the more air you're going to use. Not faster, the more quantity of air. More air molecules passing over your reed or in your instrument vibrating creates larger sounds. If you're playing a percussion instrument, it's about speed. Forte is going to be a more violent collision than piano. So that stick or mallet is going to travel faster if you want a louder sound. It's just more violent. What can we say, percussion? Loud is violent. So this doesn't touch every single thing about dynamics, but hopefully gives you a little bit of a history talking about pianoforte instruments, what we know now of as the piano, a 300-year-old instrument. But it also helps you remember when you see these things to maybe listen a little bit more to your sound and balance what you're doing with other people.